What's up, Buttercup? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the first part of 3 parts regarding my favorite books that I read while I was in school. We're going to start with middle school because that makes the most sense, doesn't it? This is going to be the shortest of the videos, unfortunately. One, because there were just a lot of books that were assigned to me in middle school that absolutely sucked. And to be fair, there weren't as many books assigned in my middle school, at least. So I think they were trying to get the students used to having to have assigned reading. Most of them I don't remember. The ones that I do remember sucked. So we're going to just be a little positive. Even though I've had qualms with the public school system since I was a kid, because I was put through the ringer. Different story. We're gonna stay on topic, but I don't have that many books that I enjoyed from my middle school reading assignment days, but we're going to get into the ones that I did enjoy. Before going in, I'm gonna set up some rules. These are books that were assigned to me while I was in middle school, and they are 4 or 5 star readings. I'm not going to include any middle school assigned reading books that I read after I was out of middle school, high school, college, so on and so forth. The first couple of books I've kind of grouped together because they are William Shakespeare plays. And in high school and in college, I reread quite a few Shakespeare's plays. So I'm not going to include the Shakespeare plays that I reread in the other videos. I'm just going to mention the 2 that were assigned to us that I really adore and obsessed with in middle school. And that would be Romeo and Juliet in 7th grade, Midsummer's Night's Dream in 8th grade. I think those are pretty solid intros to Shakespeare. Not too hard, but I mean, Shakespeare is notorious to be like a difficult read for a lot of people. Totally understand. But I think Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer's Night's Dream are more of the basic, that's not even the right word, easier, more entertaining for middle schoolers. I was absolutely obsessed with Romeo and Juliet. I don't know why. And I always knew that it was a tragedy because Shakespeare only writes tragedies, historicals, and comedies. And one, I memorized the whole play. People thought I was weird. Duh, I'm like weird now, so of course I would be in middle school. But then I also, whenever I was in theater class, which for a little bit I thought I wanted to be an actress. I am not. I do not want to be anymore. But, you know, maybe a lot of kids have that point in their life where it's like, oh, I want to act. I want to be in the theater. So whenever I was in my theater classes and we were allowed to choose a Shakespeare play / like one scene, not the whole play, one scene to act for a grade, I would choose Romeo and Juliet because I already had it memorized, right? I was smart back then, kind of. But then I kind of lost the memorization in high school, and I was one of 2 that read the original play, because you have original play and then the version where it's simplified, and this other kid, Chris, read the original play with me. So we were in a 2-person group. Does that count as a group? It's a duo. So we just hung out by ourselves reading Romeo and Juliet in high school. I think the smart way that, I don't remember her name, but the English teacher put us in groups for Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer's Night's Dream. So we discussed the play and try and figure out like what it meant versus her just telling us. I thought that was really fun. I think that definitely included excitement and a very great way to introduce Shakespeare to 7th and 8th graders. So props to her. I don't remember your name, but I love it. Number 2, well, no, this would count as 3, sorry. The 3rd book is Island of the Blue Dolphin by Scott Odell. That was a 4 stars. I just really loved the concept. The cover was gorgeous. The next few books, including this book, again, with a really cool English teacher, you had a set of 4 or 5 books, and then you got to choose which book, and then you wrote like a 5-page paper, 4-page paper, whatever it was, on, you know, your favorite book, right? And so I was attracted to the cover. I've heard of Scott Odell before, because I don't know if he's still popular, but back in the early 2000s, very popular for children's books, or like historical fiction children's books. And so I picked that up and I really enjoyed it. I don't remember what I wrote about it, but I did get a B. Thank you. The next book is by the same author, Thunder Rolling in the Mountains. This is about a young Native American girl and the hardships that her and her tribe were facing during this time period. And I gave that 5 stars. I just found it absolutely fascinating, and I really appreciated the writer showcasing this story, because it's often forgotten about, or people just don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. Well, yes, history is uncomfortable and scary and disturbing, and it's not scary and disturbing in the way that the writer just shows gore and violence and all of that, even though it did happen. To get kids interested and also just keep it appropriate, you do have to, in a way, simplify things so they're not terrified and they are then engaged in the book. So yes, he talks about a lot of hard situations and scary situations. It's not over the top. It's basically age appropriate. The next book is The Giver by Lois Lowry. That was like 8th grade. I was surprised that I liked it so much. I don't know, maybe because people, even adults that I was talking about before, said that the book wasn't good, and then some older kids said the book sucked. But this is where you have to try things out for yourself. I gave it 4 stars. I was impressed about the concept of this world, but maybe probably not world, but I won't spoil. This town, let's just say town, of a dystopian future, and just how crappy it is if you dig just a little deeper. Get a little anti-authority, and then you uncover some crazy stuff. And I think The Giver, because of how it's written, simplified, but not in a bad way, age appropriate, but really hard hitting, this book has lasted. I think it will continue to be read by middle schoolers or high schoolers or probably even college students. Second to last, by the same author, is Number the Stars. And that was either 7th grade or 8th grade, don't remember. But that was very moving. It's about the Holocaust, and we follow a young girl during this time. Of course, it's very, very heavy, but again, age appropriate. I think that it's, of course, a classic for a reason. And even if you're an adult, I think you should read this book and basically all of the books on this list. And the final book is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I actually prefer The Hobbit over the Lord of the Rings. Oopsie, is that a hot take? I think because it's more accessible, let's say that. I mean, it's written for kids, and the Lord of the Rings is for adults. And then after the Lord of the Rings came out, then Tolkien went backwards and kind of edited some stuff with The Hobbit and then re-released it. And I don't remember which edition we read. So there's that. But that was never mentioned, that Tolkien went backwards and edited and then re-released The Hobbit by the English teacher. I just learned about it. So I don't remember anything like that. of what edition we read doesn't particularly matter, I don't think. But I know my copy was pretty worn out, so it could have been anything at this point. I gave that 4 stars. I thought it was a really fun and amusing. And then I tried to read The Lord of the Rings and I gave up. And I did not try it out until my 30s. And yeah, there is a stark difference in the writing style. Way more accessible, of course, for, I think, a lot of people, not just kids, regarding The Hobbit. But I understand why Tolkien had different writing styles. I'm not dissing him in that. But I think that The Hobbit is really fun and engaging. And I think that it's definitely appropriate for middle schoolers and a nice introduction to fantasy. Thank you so much for watching my video all about my favorite books that I was required to read during my middle school years. I will see you in the next video. Part 2 will come out shortly. Bye.